It's fair to say Black Panther is a monumental success for Marvel, grossing over $1 billion worldwide, a huge critical success, adding much needed diversity into Marvel and the superhero genre in general, and perhaps one of the most groundbreaking achievements of Black Panther is being nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, being the first superhero film to achieve such a nomination, whilst not even being the best superhero film in 2018. That goes to Venom. Personally, I really enjoyed Black Panther. It wasn't the best film of the year, and probably doesn't deserve the Best Picture nomination, but it's nice to see superhero films recognised. But I want to discuss in this video the missed opportunity in Black Panther and how this film could have really set it apart from the MCU and developed an excellent trilogy of films. The MCU thus far has completed 4 trilogies within their cinematic universe, being Iron Man, Captain America, Thor and the Avengers. On the whole, all of these trilogies are good, but you find each trilogy has a standout film, a terrible film, and one film which basically redefines the character. So the actual arc of the characters over these 3 films don't actually flow particularly well. Part of this is down to missteps with defining the characters for me, but a lot of this boils down to the age-old Marvel villain problem. Currently, no major villains have appeared in 3 Marvel films as the main villain or even secondary. I don't count Loki, as he's now probably a hero or at the very least an anti-hero. Marvel has yet to establish a continuous villain within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and for me I feel Killmonger could have been that villain that could have been established as a long-term villain within Marvel. A major problem of the MCU is their villain and hero dynamics are awful. The villains don't actually change our characters in any way and very much just act as a barrier for the heroes to overcome and just save the day, but our heroes learn nothing from the actual villains due to their philosophies. A key hero and villain dynamic which would have been fascinating for the MCU to emulate would be that of Professor Xavier's and Magneto, a rivalry which is based fundamentally on their difference of how to approach the same issue. Professor Xavier and Magneto's relationship dynamic fascinates me. For me, it's one of the best hero versus villain stories in comics. Here we have 2 characters who have grown together, and due to their lives and hardships faced, we see how these 2 men react, and even though Magneto is bitterly twisted and unremorseful, we the audience understand why, and we sympathise with Magneto. But on the other side of the coin we have Professor X, who wants the world to work together, being more accepting of one another, a truly idealistic world, which can be seen as naive, and is by Magneto. It's the world the audience wants and see as the most noble cause, and recognise Xavier as the protagonist. In this video, I want to get into why Marvel missed an opportunity with killing off Killmonger, and discuss a little bit how Marvel failed with previous villains. The best villains hold a mirror up to the hero, and no, not a physical mirror, but a mirror which acts as a critique of the hero. Essentially, a good villain should have the opposing view of our hero, but have validity in their opposing view. Here is where Killmonger excels. Killmonger's motivation that Wakanda should help their fellow black people around the world due to them having access to amazing technology for them to rise above their oppressors. Our hero Black Panther has the opposing view, believing Wakanda should stay out of the world's conflict and hide in plain sight, knowing that if they were to reveal themselves to the world, the conflict which could develop because of this, and would put Wakanda at great risk. Killmonger's view is an interesting one. We the audience definitely understand Killmonger's point and the reasoning behind it, and we realise why it is tempting. Of course though, we still identify him as the villain due to his willingness to kill people with no remorse. I mean, he just shot his girlfriend without a moment's hesitation. Definitely a villain. Here is where Marvel's villains fall completely flat. Thus far, I cannot think of one villain who directly conflicts with our hero's beliefs in an engaging way, that the audience can actually see justification in the villain's actions. The worst culprits for this in my opinion are Obadiah Stane, Malekith and Ronan. Take a few seconds and think, what are those 3 characters' ideologies and philosophy, and how does this directly conflict with our heroes? You thought about it? The answer is they don't. These villains, like most in the Marvel universe, are bad guys because the film needs a bad guy. This is where something interesting could be done with keeping Killmonger alive, a character who directly conflicts with Black Panther and challenges his beliefs and can shape how he learns and grows, instead of the age-old trait being affected by their death or in some way honouring the death, blah blah blah. It's the same old same old. You kill the villain, you move on, new villain. Okay, so I touched on this point briefly, so I won't go into this point too in depth. Killmonger is the first character in the MCU to directly challenge our hero's philosophy. The key to making a great villain is having a point of connection between our hero and our villain, and have their philosophies directly conflict with one another, and have our hero learn something from the villain. The best villains share essentially the same philosophy of the hero, while offering a critique of the point they do not share. For example, Magneto believes mutants should rule humans. Professor X believes humans and mutants should live together in harmony and shouldn't punish humans for their disapproval of mutants. Both offer critiques of one another's points, but overall their philosophies are similar in that they want better worlds for mutants. They just have different points on how they should be achieved. For this aspect to work, the villain's critique of our hero should have some sort of justification. Magneto's being he has been mistreated by humans as he is a Holocaust survivor, so we can no longer see any redeeming aspects in humans and can't see why he should forgive and work with them. You understand Magneto's motivation and you feel it is justified. This was completed excellently in Black Panther. Killmonger's father is killed by T'Challa's father, the current Black Panther. Of course, Killmonger harbours feelings of anger against Wakanda and wants to carry on his father's legacy of helping the oppressed black people of Oakland and the world. Wakanda left him and he has seen the people around him killed and pushed around by society with no help from Wakanda. The motivation for his philosophy is crystal clear, and most importantly, it's justified. The MCU has never had a villain define a character. Over the course of multiple films, except I would say Loki with Thor, who has helped to shape that character and has been a major influence on the person Thor is now. The problem I find with the MCU is villains do not directly affect superheroes' way of thinking or their characteristics. Let's look at Obadiah Stane, and I know I keep coming back to him, but I truly think he is one of the MCU's worst villains, simply because he is undefined. At the end of Iron Man, Tony defeats Obadiah and kills him, but how has Obadiah's way of thinking changed Tony's perspective and helped to shape his character? Spoiler, it hasn't. Tony's motivation comes from seeing his weapons used against him and seeing how his inventions are affecting the world. He decides that he will use his technology to help people instead. That's his major character action and motivation. Obadiah simply doesn't want the business to go that way, but his motivation for this is not defined in any way, and he doesn't directly conflict with Tony in a way that is engaging for the audience. Why does Obadiah want to continue making weapons? The film hasn't said he's losing his job, which, if he was, would have some justification to become bad guy. Obadiah is bad because he's the villain of the film, and his death at the end of Iron Man doesn't help to shape Tony's way of thinking, as he still believes what he does, because this was established earlier in the film. His character has not changed due to the villain, but rather due to Tony's own actions. Obadiah's death has zero effect on Tony going forward, and his way of thinking has not changed at all. This is something which happens a lot in the MCU. The characters make decisions based on their own experiences, instead of having the villain's philosophies challenge their way of thinking and shape the person they are. Usually the hero will overcome the villain and carry on with their same philosophy, being the person they were. This is the same for Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange. Every villain in these films have fairly poor motivation, which is not at all established, and by the end of each film, the characters haven't learned from the villain's way of thinking, but instead have grown due to their own actions and experiences, and the internal struggle with their allies. Black Panther, however, nails this with Killmonger. By the end of the film, Black Panther has begun setting up outreach posts in America to help the oppressed people. Seeing that the film's villain, Killmonger, did have a point in his philosophy, and being challenged by the film's bad guy doesn't necessarily mean they are a crazed lunatic, and actually help to shine a light on our hero's downfalls and some things he should change about his philosophies, so that another villain like this can't manifest again. Black Panther has changed his way of thinking due to the villain critiquing his character and beliefs, and enabling T'Challa to make a positive change. This is an aspect which could have been used throughout the Black Panther films. Killmonger could be locked away in the sequels, and T'Challa would use him as a way of speaking about their philosophies, developing some sort of frenemy relationship, similar to Charles and Eric in X-Men. They discuss the best way for the world to continue to grow and develop, with their various ideologies coming head to head, and the audience would be engaged as both men make valid points. And now we have a complex villain who is shaping our hero of the story and challenging our hero's mindset and making him question his own self and the ones around him. I do truly think the character of Killmonger would continue to add fantastic social commentary, similar to Professor X and Magneto's relationship, and it's something which is definitely relevant and would probably help create a truly magnificent villain. Killmonger is a simply fantastic character. I think there are more stories to be told with his character, and Marvel was really missing a trick in actually developing a villain over the course of a few films. I think it's important to have villains challenge and shape our heroes. This is what defines them, the struggle between their own beliefs and what the other side of the argument is offering. A great example is Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Darth Vader is offering absolute power both literally and politically, and Luke can share in that power if he agrees to join him. It's a plot point that's been done before, but what makes it work so well is that the power and therefore the offer feels real, and so the villain's offer is tempting. Of course, Luke turns him down and stays true to his own beliefs, shaping who he is. Sure, he then 180'd on this and attempted to kill a child, but these are details. The point is, Luke in the original trilogy was shaped by his actions and by the villain of the story. He became a Jedi due to resisting the temptation of the dark side, and is the man he is because of Darth Vader, rejecting his ideologies and saving Darth Vader in the end. He helped shape the man he became. Sure, Black Panther and Killmonger's story does differ, but Black Panther is now the character he is due to Killmonger's beliefs. Black Panther has made a change because of what Killmonger was preaching, and is growing because of the direct critique of his beliefs. I would love to see this more in Marvel films, helping to shape our heroes, but sadly, too many villains are simply there to be the bad guy, with little setup to motivation and no direct philosophical conflict with our main character. Usually the villains are just evil and just want to fight our heroes, and our heroes learn nothing from our villains and simply just need to defeat them, and will continue to believe in what they believe in. I think the Marvel Universe would benefit from having an established villain character who challenges our heroes, and Killmonger could have been the first of these characters to have a long future in Marvel films, conflicting with Black Panther and having the audience choose a side of the argument. But sadly, he had to die like all the rest of the villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a very poor villains gallery currently in the MCU, and I do think this needs to change. Thank you for watching.